So Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 is an independent slasher horror movie sequel building out the twisted childhood universe, and this movie has got 5 times the budget compared to the first one. And it really does show, as this movie is so much bigger and grander than the first one. For example, there are so many more people in this movie, which really does build the realism of this little universe. The deaths are even more brutal. There are so many more locations that all of the characters visit, and the masks of all of the villains does actually look pretty realistic. This film definitely does lean so much more into like the bloodbath horror group of movies, for example like the Terrifier brand, and way less like the psychological thriller movies, for example like the Scream franchise. And I'm a little bit disappointed that it doesn't do the latter, as the lure that this movie sets up could have been absolutely fascinating if they really went into so much more detail with it. But instead, like I said, they just went into a full bloodbath frenzy. And I mean, they narratively explain it as these characters have totally lost it and they just want to get their full revenge. But I just think it's a bit of a shame, as this movie could have been pretty great, especially as it's super independent and they clearly have put some thought behind the universe that they are creating, and it's not just there for cheap thrills like a lot of people thought that it would be when it was first ever announced. I thought it was also really clever what they did with the second movie in terms of explaining that the first film was actually just an in-universe movie. All of the events that you saw in the first film definitely did take place, but it was actually the characters that you see in the second film that it was based on. And I think this is a really clever decision to make, as Christopher Robin has been recast, which was absolutely the right decision, as the Christopher Robin actor in the first movie unfortunately was a really awful actor, versus the Christopher Robin that they have in this movie is absolutely outstanding. You can really feel his heart bleeding in so many different instances. As well as that, you can see so much rage when he comes face to face with the person that kidnapped his twin brother years ago. So I have to say, Scott Chambers did such a good job in terms of bringing Christopher Robin to life, and I thought it was really clever. The one good thing that they did in the first movie is that one of the things that made all of these characters go fully evil is the fact that Christopher Robin left them, and in this movie there is so much hatred still towards this character. And speaking of the lore, I thought it was really clever to say that there was this evil scientist that merged animals with young kids, and that is what has created these hybrid animals. And this older character is now riddled with so much guilt because of that, and I thought it was so clever what they did with Christopher Robin's twin character, and this is the reason that him and Winnie the Pooh had such a big connection. And I think it was also really, really clever. Like I said, they did really clever things with this plot, which is actually that these animal hybrids were always a little bit twisted, and actually not the sweet characters that we know and love them to be, as they were always pretty evil. But because Christopher Robin was so young when he met Winnie the Pooh and all of these other characters, he assumed in his childhood innocence that they are actually really nice characters. So now that they're all grown up, there was always something a little bit twisted in these animal hybrids, which is understandable because of all of the experimentation. And the owl really does take it upon himself to really manipulate everybody else into going absolutely crazy and just wanting to kill any human that they come across. A lot of people were wondering why wasn't Tigger in the first movie, and I believe they were waiting a couple of years for Tigger to also be in the public domain like Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, and he was by the time this movie was released, so he is included, Owl is included. I definitely feel like they could have done so much more from a characterization perspective with Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Piglet, as the owl is the only one that really speaks out of all of them. It's going to be interesting to see how they build out the TCU, very similar to how they're building out the MCU, and they're also going to bring all of these childhood monster reinterpretations together in a bit of an Avengers conclusion. With Peter Pan, Pinocchio, Winnie the Pooh, and all of these characters together, it's going to be absolutely hilarious. And in the future, they're hoping to do Powerpuff Girls, as they have been created in a laboratory and they don't have any hands. The next installment's going to be Bambi, and they're hoping to do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the future as well. So this universe could actually be pretty iconic. I really do hope that they develop the plot and backstory and just lean back a little bit from all of the over-the-top horror elements. So whilst Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 definitely gets a lot of things right, I feel like if they lent a lot more into thriller than horror, it could be absolutely iconic and really could stand along alongside other independent horror movies, as the first one definitely felt like a school production, whereas the second one definitely does feel very similar to what we do see within the horror genre space, released from bigger studios. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 a solid 4 out of 10. And I would love to hear from you. What did you think of this film? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.